AFTERBUZZ TV Network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Justified After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Justified After Show.
And welcome everybody. Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another AFTERBUZZ TV after show for Justified Season 4, Episode 12, entitled Peace of Mind. I'm your host, John Comerford, and I'm joined in the studio by Tamara Berg.
Hello.
Steve Bottomley.
Hi.
Joe Braswell.
Hello.
And helming in the booth is Stephen Lemieux. Stephen, say hi to everybody. Thank you.
How's it going, guys?
Okay, last week we had a lot of action. This week we got a lot of tension. Entitled Peace of Mind, and that's where I want to start out with. It seems like there were a lot of running themes with respect to that. Ava is the one I want to start off with. Clearly, she's looking for peace of mind. She's been looking for it ever since she killed Delroy. I'm sure even before that, but she had no problem killing her husband because that was justified in some sense. But
he said it.
Yep, but for some reason she's having a hard time with this one.
Crisis of conscience with Ellen May.
And is it because Ellen May witnessed it? Is it because because clearly Delroy was not gonna do right by Ellen May? So it was because she was okay about killing her husband because the husband perpetrated things against her, and then Delroy didn't do anything directly to her. But why is she having these concerns about having peace of mind?
I think it has a lot to do with her relationship with Ellen May. I think that has it's less to do with Delroy and more to do with this sort of sisterly / motherly relationship. I mean, realize that Ava was not. She was not a pimp. She sort of she grew into this role of the pimp,
the madam,
the madam, I should say. Thank you very much, the madam. And with that, she was. Had a firm hand, as she said, but she was also very loving and kind and treated everyone right. And Ellen May, she clearly took a shine to her. So there was a relationship there. So if it had to turn bad at the end of the day, she couldn't do it. It's like her daughter or sister or.
She's an innocent.
Yeah.
I don't think Ava's got it in her to just kill an innocent
for self-preservation of that sort.
Yeah, and the fact that they staged it all in the church and all the signs around and everything, it's just like,
have faith in God.
And she knew she wasn't going to just walk away from it. She knew that there was going to be, and it came on the heels of what Limehouse was talking to her about. But yeah, I think it's just.
Well, I thought that was wonderful to stick it in that church, that natural. Well, because it's it's not a building so much; it's in this place. So, but there's that sense of if she had any concerns about it all, they're talking about penance and Ellen May saying getting off your chest and all those things. She's already. It's just chipping away at a resolve to go ahead and do what she's supposed to do or what she thinks is necessary. So I thought that was
oddly enough, though, in that scene when who was the sister of the
Cassie.
When she said, well, you'll have to kill both of us, I don't think that bothered her at all.
Yeah, that part I didn't think really, it wasn't a great part of the debate. I don't think that.
I think she would have no problem taking care of her.
Which is strange.
Yeah. Well, but, weren't you watching it and sort of hoping that Ava did not pull the trigger? I mean, weren't you as an audience member just conflicted about it as well?
Oh yeah, I didn't want her to pull the trigger. I wanted her to find some sort of humanity left in her, some part of her soul still intact.
Right.
And because poor Ellen May appears as a child, very much so. I mean, in fact, she was reminding me of 14-year-old girls that I know that I've seen recently, and I just thought that she just seems so innocent and so. Right. A little dough.
And as much as Boyd wants that dream for them, and they're working toward that dream, I just think Ava doesn't have the ability to put everything on the line for that dream.
Right.
It would be hollow.
Or everything behind her. I think she has some reconciliation to do. Personally, I think it was very ironic and interesting how she came in. So almost denouncing God, like I don't believe in God, and God won't do this. But then ultimately ended up, not that it was a religious experience, but ultimately ended up having a big crisis of conscience, and ultimately not committing that murder. Although a lot of death in that church,
right? But going back to what you just said there, because Ellen May says peace, there's peace in repentance, and she says no, there's peace in doing what feels right. So you have those opposing views, which always goes to the whole title of the episode, peace of mind and stuff.
Right.
And what is peace of mind for everybody? In fact, this whole episode is about what will bring, because clearly Ellen May, she, in her mind, what brings peace to her is completely different. And I like that they were just pitting these things against each other.
Well, again, with Ellen May, though, she actually made peace of mind when she was at Limehouse's. She was actually saying, look, I know you're going to kill me, and I'm ready to do it, so let's get on with it. And that's when you let her go.
Well, yeah, I think it was really, really sad and interesting. And again, I love Ellen May. I love the character, and I'm just rooting for her the whole time. But she was ready to die at the holler. She's completely. She made the reference that she's been ready to die for a long time. So by the time of the holler, she had completely accepted that I'm going to die. It was interesting. Once she was free, she came to the church, and there was a bit of her at the church that, okay, all I just came here to do was repent, and so I'd say, and now Ava's going to kill me, and guess what? I'm ready to die here too. She's the time she kind of closed her eyes, and she was ready to go, which is really sort of, you know, that I feel like there's a bit where she got her peace of mind. She's ready to go. She made her peace with God, made her peace in the church, and was ready to go. And so it's I think it's very cool and ironic that she did not have to go, and then Ava let her spare her. So, you know, it was very touching. I thought it was very touching episode. I'm a big fan of the actress Ellen, who plays Ellen May. I think she's fantastic.
So no qualms about Ava, huh? So because I was going, well, you know, I get why she didn't shoot her. I mean, you know, Ellen May, but I'm just going, really? Your whole, because here's the thing. Remember we forget that the dream that they laid out, their family, you know, our family,
3 generations,
you know, this whole thing that they were so gung ho about this dream. And, you know, this is
because in the past, Ava always had a moral reason for shooting someone. You know, there was Delroy, there was her abusive husband, and I think she just knew that if she pulled the trigger, everything would be just a sham from there on.
Right. Okay. So this is what I wanted to get to. That's why I'm glad we're discussing this. I actually, you know, knew that she wasn't going to shoot her and didn't want her to, because she can't cross that line. You know, we've been talking about this for weeks now, that there are certain lines that they're going to be crossing.
Right.
This is something that she couldn't cross and would never come back from, because even if she got that with their family, it would be empty and hollow, and she would never have peace of mind, and she would have that, you know, basically the you know.
The unjustified murder hanging over her head.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, but there was that moment of when she saw Colt get the call, so she knew what the call was about.
Right. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was a very interesting beat, because I really wasn't quite sure where she was when that call came in. I didn't know if...
Yeah, that's a great question. Go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering, had Tim not shown up, would there have been a discussion about, listen, let's talk this out?
Or would
because
she have
she's
said,
still instrumental in
but would she have said, well, I can't do it.
I'm not doing it.
But I'm okay if you do it.
You're a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah, what they've done is it's not the act, it's the person that they have to make the act against.
Because clearly she was not okay with it, but she was willing to let it happen the first time. Because, I mean, that was all set up.
Yeah, she had...
Would she come back from that? Where obviously we all assume that Boyd gave Colt the order.
Well, that's my question. I didn't. Maybe I'm completely missing this, but I thought he was there to retrieve Ellen May to give her to Nick and give her to Augustine, the guy. So that's why I thought he came in and he was like, whoa, is this what Raylan? I mean, is this what Boyd wants? Because I'm here to grab her and you're about to kill her.
But wait a minute, if that were the case, why wouldn't Ava just do that?
But
grab her.
Yeah, just take her back to Nick Augustine.
True. I mean,
I got confused. It seemed like there was a conversation or a phone call that we didn't get to hear.
Oh, okay.
That, because that's what I thought too. Look, all you need to do is grab her and bring her back. But now
I mean, that was the whole idea. That's why they brought the money and everything like that.
Well, what changed was she knew that Ellen May told Cassie about the body.
She confessed.
So now that's a problem.
All right.
Now, how Boyd knew about it, I don't know.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like, Boyd's was a very fluid situation. Boyd's like, hey, Ellen May, if you get to her first, I mean, this is your problem. This is all on you. If you want, whatever you want to do, I support you.
And I'm sure, and we're making the huge assumption that he actually did give the order. Maybe he did say, Colt, just bring her back.
Who knows? I mean, that was the other thing that they have not yet touched on. I hope they will, but there's Detroit's missing a player.
Yeah.
Last time he went out with Colt, you know, there's not been like a conversation about, so what'd you tell Nick?
Right.
What the hell? Where's our guy?
What that track? Yeah, what happened?
Well, that's
although Nick kind of referred to him, you know, he's lost a lot of ballast, but not exactly why or how.
Right.
So
yeah, I think Nick would be looking around pretty, you know, pretty thoroughly to try to find his missing sharpshooter.
Exactly. Mort was his name. Mort the
Mort.
Sharpshooter. That's really hard to say.
Mort it is. I don't know. Try it at home, kids. So, yeah. And I don't think Ava's out of the woods over the whole thing yet anyway.
Well, just the last thing I want to say about Ava is, you know, I think that this is pretty true to, as you talked about, pretty true to her character, because we've seen her from, I mean, even, you know, from episode, you know, from the first season to now, she's never been a killer. She's never really been even a bad person. She's just been someone who's really had a bad life and really looking to sort of make her way out the best way she can. It's always been sort of for love. You know, first it was for the first Crowder, and then it was for you know, Raylan, obviously, and then now she's on with Boyd. And I think it's sort of like her finding her way out of this life.
Yeah, but I don't think
love.
we can call her a good person.
Well, okay, maybe a good person is fine, but my point is she's no murderer. I mean, she's no black-hearted murderer, I think.
Well, let's face it. She shot the guy.
Okay.
I mean, he's at the dinner table.
She's not an evil murderer.
Exactly. I can say we can argue that she was justified in killing her husband because of all the abuse put her through, but she flat out just said, "Okay, here's your dinner, and let me blow you away."
Yeah, and then bragged about it quite a bit. She bragged about it quite a bit in seasons 1 and 2. I did kill my husband.
But that's what I love because it is. I mean, and clearly she's willing to throw her soul away for so many things. I mean, they've got prostitution, they're running drugs, they're doing all kinds of things which she's okay with.
Right.
And I just like that she's found some sort of line for her which she won't cross, because that's what I think has been interesting about her character is, like you were just saying, Joe, she's like going here and meandering and not really having a boundary yet, and not knowing. You know, coming, and that's what Limehouse was talking about.
That's the whole Limehouse speech.
And in that camp, you need that person. You need somebody that you can hang with. It's like, thank you. You know, okay, now I'll root for you.
Right.
As crazy as, you know, like when he proposed. You're going to go, yeah, you kids can make it work.
Right.
You know?
I'm still rooting for him.
Come on, where are you registered? But, you know, so it was nice that you now have that entree to say, okay, I'm behind you. Don't
and that's, now that we were talking about Limehouse, let's bring him into this, because clearly, you know, Ava is the one that says, look, if anybody's going to go to Nobles, it's going to be me, because he hates Boyd, and he doesn't like white people, so the only person that can do it is me. Because there is some sort of history between Limehouse and Ava. And that got, you know, followed through when he actually has his conversation with her. Limehouse is talking to Ava, and I thought that was because we haven't really seen Limehouse take somebody aside like that and say, hey, look, you know, he doesn't usually care.
Right.
Well, he had some, I think it was a domino effect that started with that conversation that he had with Ellen May. When Ellen May sort of really said, look, you know, you get your money, I die. You don't get your money, I die. I'm just ready to die. So whatever you're going to do it. And I think that hit him in a way that was like, what am I doing exactly?
Yeah, that made it.
Like, I'm literally, you know, sending this woman to her death over this money.
In keeping with the particular title of this episode, maybe that he was really, you know, I can't do this to her because I wouldn't have ever had peace.
Exactly.
Well, and he obviously has a soft spot in his heart for women, as his place is the refuge for them, and
especially those who've been abused.
Exactly, has been historically the place to where they run.
That's a good point.
And that's what he was talking to Ava about.
Yeah.
About having to sell off land and about everything just to keep this thing up. And he obviously wasn't talking about the slaughterhouse. He was talking about the.
He wasn't talking about pulled pork?
No, I don't think so. Maybe he was. I don't know.
Keeping Nobles alive.
I agree, John. I thought that scene was really, really great. It was really great to see you know, Michael T play that in that way. Although I was slightly conflicted just from a scene standpoint. I didn't want to see it digress into, you know, see Limehouse digress into the cliched, you know, sage old black guy giving the wisdom.
Right.
But, you know, it's a little cliche-y, but it was really wonderful.
I mean, I didn't see it that way, because what I saw was this is somebody who he has a history with.
Exactly.
If it wasn't somebody like that who hadn't been there many times because she'd been beaten, or her family, etc., then I would have said, it was a little too. But no, they have a history together, and so that didn't feel that same way for me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. But it's just that the other thing was, if not for Limehouse, where would that information have come from? Who else could have given her that to move her along that arc? I don't know anybody else that could.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you know,
nobody else would be able to have an effect on her with that kind of credibility than him. And the thing that's great about it, he just stiffed her.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing, and yet he's still able to get to her at that level, on that level.
Right.
Well, part of that conversation was, you kept coming to me,
right?
And I protected you, and now look what you've done with all these chances. You know, now you're in with the worst of them, trying. You're buying a person's life. You know, so I think she carried that conversation with her when she met up with Ava, Ellen May later. But that was a subtext I was picking up in that conversation.
And that's already really weird. You're buying a person's life.
Yeah, I mean, all that was
right.
was, I think that was
right.
where.
And it's for the same reason that Ellen May was there, Ava had been there.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
I think he was just pointing out to her that, you know, that you're not doing right on this course.
No, that was the same reason I think why Limehouse had the issue when Ellen May brought up the issue that, look, you're gonna get your money and I'm gonna die either way. I think that was something. But one of the reoccurring themes of the show, which I love, is a history piece.
Yeah,
it's great. Everyone has a history with each other. So at any given moment, someone can turn to Raylan and goes, "Remember that time back in the thing when you did that thing?" And remember in the old schoolhouse.
Well,
it's like
last week with he and Boyd talking about high school and the astronaut.
So I think it always plays a part in some way, you know. But I love the way that Limehouse was able to look, you know, Ava in the eye and go like, I don't even know who you are anymore. I mean, what are you doing? And look at what are we doing? And this is not how we do this. And apparently it worked.
All people to supply the conscience for her. I mean,
I know, Limehouse.
Really
I also thought it was very interesting, the whole dynamic of this honor among thieves, because look, there's $300,000. You know, he's got 50 men. Here she comes by herself with a briefcase full of $300,000. He lets her walk in, and he lets her go.
Right.
You know? So it's kind of like, I don't want to take your money. I'm not taking that money.
Even he's found some sort of consciousness there
through Ellen May.
Exactly.
The traveling angel.
He could have just rolled her and said, you know, whatever. So.
Okay, well, before we move on, I want to give a big thank you to everybody who's rated and commented. You've got some very interesting and thought-provoking ideas about the show. Keep them coming. We'll talk about them later in this broadcast, but also go to iTunes, rate and comment for us, and you know, obviously YouTube. A lot of people are leaving it on YouTube, Twitter if you want. And you know, if you want to call in, please do so. We've got 20 million downloads a week coming here at AfterBuzz. It's all because of you, and we thank you for that. So keep that coming. Tell a friend. Have them be part of the conversation. And what else can we say about that?
We'll talk more about those.
We'll talk about that more specifically later on.
But thank you. Yes.
But thank you very much. Now, going on to. In keeping with this peace of mind theory, I thought Colt was the most interesting, or not most interesting, but most provocative way of showing that he's found his peace of mind. Because we're going back in the church here, and after all he's been through, not only the war, but coming back and the tweaking and drugs or whatever he's on and stuff, he finally decides, okay, here's my final stand. I'm going to have my last cigarette. And he knows. I mean, does anybody think that he really believed he was going to get out of that?
No, it was death by cop.
Death by cop.
Suicide by cop. And when he said maybe later, when Tim told him to drop the gun, you went, it's not going to fall on your own volition. So I thought it was great. We had said earlier.
Everybody knew, But it was wonderful the way that, again, in the church, and right in front of everything.
Jesus is coming and all the signs.
All the signs, have faith in God.
That moment was simply what moment Colt is going to decide to die.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it going to be this moment, or am I going to wait a couple of moments?
And the way they even had, I don't know if you guys heard it, but when he had that last puff of the cigarette, you could actually hear that cigarette. You could hear that too?
Yeah. It was very
that's how quiet it was.
Right.
And they allowed it, because clearly they had the sound guy go, beef that up a little bit. That would let us know what this moment really is.
And again, it's one of those things that elevates the tension in those situations where you hear, they talk about how you get laser focused in certain moments, and you remember every single element that's going on, and time slows down. So it gives that sort of sense to the piece.
And I also thought it was great that they did it in the church, and not only because of all the signage that they had there in the background. Nice job, art department. But the fact that Ava was there witnessing, okay, you were about to do this, or at least needed to do this, or thought you should do this, and here it is happening right in front of you, just to remind you one more time, really, you want to do this?
Right.
So I thought that was good, because she just bolted right after it happened.
I have to say, I think I saw Colt in a new light. I mean, I've always saw him as this, killer or crazy killer. We've seen all these different versions of him. We've seen the addicted guy. We've seen the killer guys and the ruthless guy. But I really saw him in that moment as a really sort of weary guy who's come to the end of his road. Like you said, he's been through the war. Lord knows what happened in the war.
I just seem like a weary warrior.
Yeah, he's looking for his work.
Done. I've fought so many battles. I'm tired. I'm just done.
Drug addicted, and then he's finally come here, and it's like, I've had it. Like,
I think that the line he says about Mark is that I think that most of him was left in Kandahar. That's for me. That's what he's saying to himself. The good part of him that first casualty of war is innocence, and whatever he left on the battlefield never came back with him.
And the guy who he chose to be his executioner was someone who could understand that and relate to that.
That's the reason he was having the conversation, because there was only one person in that room that understood what he was talking about. And interestingly, that meant Tim had to know what his job was.
Right.
Tim had to know, I have to take this guy out, and I know I'm going to. I'm waiting for his move. But I felt sorry. I absolutely felt sorry for Colt. In that moment.
Me too.
And the way he said, I can't catch a break. I totally forgot the job he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I totally forgot what he was. But for that moment, I'm going, damn, dude, that sucks for you. Again, surprise, well played.
Yeah.
Just they're so good at keeping this small and dragging you into it that you're just like, oh my God. Just like you say, time slows down, each draw of the cigarette, you're like, when are you going to do it?
Exactly. And the other thing is, it had to be either with, we knew it was always going to be Tim, but it had to be with somebody who Colt knew would take him out.
Right.
Like, it would not be a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, Raylan would shoot him in the leg.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. No, he wanted it,
Yeah. So that really was a conversation of two soldiers. Now the interesting thing is, what does Tim take away from it? Because he did actually take a little.
Okay, so what is that about? What is that about?
It felt like for me, I read that as just sort of a soldier to soldier thing. It felt like that he knew he had to take him out, but he didn't necessarily want to take him out. There's still a painful thing when you have to take out his fellow soldier, do whatever it is. So that being metal, it's sort of symbolic, like taking his dog tags.
Yeah, but what is it? So does anybody have any theories? What's your theory on why the glasses?
Well, I think it's like him taking his dog tags or taking
his dog tags. I thought it was like the coins on the eyes or something like that for the ferryman or something like that.
Windows to the soul.
That kind of thing. What if anybody has any? That's what I'm curious. That's what I want to put out there to our listeners and stuff.
Sure.
What is the thinking on why he took the glasses? I think
it was intriguing, but I had no. I don't know.
Because they didn't give us any more information, because they don't do that on this show. They only give us what we need to know at the moment. You people are on a need-to-know basis. That's what Graham says every week.
But that's really great, because I'm sure we're gonna hopefully MB Archie will give us because everybody's got great ideas. Flood us with them, because I'm fascinated by that.
What did the glass mean?
Of all things he could take, why that? Right. Because I don't remember those ever coming in earlier in the season with any of their exchanges. By the way, I thought the conversation they had was a very interesting last conversation based on the one they had in the particular episode before.
Tim and Colt.
Tim and Colt, and that exchange there between in the car and the cell phone when they're sorry, when Tim is in the truck and he's behind the trees.
Yes.
That was a great conversation. This was, it's kind of like, okay, we had our fun.
Right.
But
Right.
But
we're done with fun.
They both knew one was going to lose.
Exactly. Yeah.
He did, but he did apologize. I don't know if we covered this, but he did apologize to Tim for taking out his friend.
Yeah, he did. And he named him. He didn't just say, Mark.
It's a very respectful exchange.
He did apologize, but then he diluted it by saying, "But let's be honest, the guy, and
I just finished the job that was already started.
I only cared about the part that came back."
Right.
So I thought it was a very good way for. I thought Colton had I thought honestly Colton was staying alive a lot longer than anybody else that screwed up that much. Yeah. But I think every day he walked in and Boyd said, "I just love the hair." Because look at Boyd's hair; those are like the yin and yang of hairstyles.
Yes.
So I could see how opposites attract.
Yes.
So while we were talking about Colt, let's move over to Johnny, who was his I guess nemesis in the Boyd clan, because Johnny obviously knew everything. Do you think Johnny's going to have any peace of mind in this? Because
I thought we were going to see a piece of his mind.
He was great. David Mignette was kind enough to be in our studio last week. Had a great
and if you didn't watch our podcast, watch it, because he was really good.
It was wonderful. It was terrific. And we all were so concerned about what was going to happen to him. We didn't really get a much resolution in this because we still don't know what's happening to him. But it does not look good for Mr. Meunier in terms of his presence again as Johnny.
I don't know how he gets out of this. I mean, unless Rachel somehow helps him out in a way that we can't foresee. But I mean, that was he said, "Come on, I'm dead in jail.
Yeah.
I'm not. Help me out." I mean, I guess the way out would be protective custody, witness relocation, but. That would be a Marshal.
Yeah, he doesn't have
right?
a lot of cards left.
Yeah, he doesn't have any.
And the ones he's holding are bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's a wait and see for dear old Johnny.
Just a little side note about that.
Yeah.
I was reading one of the Graham Yost interviews about last week's episode, and he was talking about how brilliant Patton Oswalt was in that scene, episode.
Yeah.
Getting beat up and playing the consummate Constable Bob.
Nice.
Nicely done.
And then he said, but I think that David Meunier did his best work ever in this particular episode, and he had 4 lines.
Yeah,
in last week's
I would
episode.
agree. There was so much going on in his face and
exactly
all the conflict. And
so anyway, just side note,
and
more kudos to David Meunier.
Kudos to Meunier.
The character of Johnny has never been, up front. I mean, he's always been kind of the background, and so it's been great to see him have these moments.
Yeah.
This little arc that they've given her. It's not great to see where it's ending up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't.
But he's still alive.
He's true.
So,
but I don't think there's going to be much peace of mind
for now.
I don't think it's.
Ouch.
No.
But
we do have the.
But he's in. Well, I mean, last we saw, the last thing Raylan said, it's up to Rachel whether or not we do anything with. So we don't even know if he's taken into custody. I'm assuming because of who Rachel is that they did take him into custody, but we don't even know that.
Right.
When he said, I helped you get Drew, the way he delivered it was so like, it's the only thing I have.
Yeah, that's it.
It was
pathetic.
It was so pathetic. And it was just like, man, that was great.
Yeah.
Raylan seemed to have not 1 ounce of sympathy for any of the crowders, and that he was like, nope. That's it.
I know.
Whatever.
Raylan?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, it's up to her.
Whatever happens, you gotta come.
I gotta go.
Well, that's what it's been always. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what it was with Drew last week. He was telling, when Drew's trying to get this and trying to get that, and then, Raylan basically cuts him off and says, you're just a dirtbag, basically.
Right.
So,
yeah, there's no love
poor
lost.
Johnny. Let's
Poor
move on.
Johnny.
So what do we think about, speaking of Drew, let's talk about Drew, because clearly he was driving some of this, because he's not going to do a deal at all unless he knows that Ellen May is going to be safe.
Right. Which is obviously his peace of mind. Like,
Yeah.
He cannot finish this thing.
Well, I guess, okay, so we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, he was in the beginning and in the end.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to do this one bit and this one bit, and so...
That's what I mean.
Yeah, because he had the
episode.
one objective, which was to get Ellen May safe here in custody.
Right.
Yep.
So he just kind of delivered. There was what I had is what was more my question. So who's the ear in the Marshal office that Theo has?
Well, we don't know.
No, but we did see that,
Very,
bad guy, fake cop kind of.
Yeah, at the church.
Yeah.
Right, but there was only 3 people in that room when they were talking about that deal, and they made it a big deal that they even threw, you don't get an attorney. This is top secret. Nobody can know about this.
Yeah.
So we'll assume it's not Raylan.
Right.
Yeah, I don't believe it's Art. It could be the attorney, though. The DA.
The DA. Is there somebody in there that knows what
well,
that
and
deal
let's
was?
face it. I mean, I'm sure there are other people that would know about it, just because they'll know the travel plans of whomever. He's not leaving yet because he's doing something.
But this was specifically about he's not saying anything unless he gets Ellen May. So that was kind of really quick. And
that's how good Theo is. He's got people. He's got ears everywhere.
He's got them.
So Drew's going to find his peace of mind only if Ellen May gets in some way safe harbor.
Right.
And I think she does. I mean, that's predictions, but it's also based on the next episode.
So
right.
I think Ellen May's probably. Oh, real quick, are we done with Limehouse? Do you think? It seemed kind of a swan songy sort of conversation.
Well, certainly that one scene with him. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we would be going back, because they have Ellen May. There's no reason to go back.
And it really was like.
You mean for the series or for the season?
No, just this season, this particular season.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the series too, but it seemed like it was.
Well, Tammy has some news on that.
I do have some news that we can talk about in news and gossip. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it did. I do agree. It did seem a little swan songy, if you will. But I was also. I mean, I got this sense that you know, Limehouse is walking away from. I mean, not that he was in the crime business, but he's definitely in the protection business and the.
Oh, he's in the crime business.
Okay, so it felt like he was sort of walking away from. I don't know if it's walking from like a life of crime, but that little monologue was very like, I'm kind of, you know, I need some peace of mind. So it did feel like, you know, maybe this is it for us. And what are you doing, Ava? You shouldn't be doing this either.
Yeah,
right.
You know, so we'll see, but it felt very.
Like it was a culmination, yeah.
I don't think we'll see him for the rest of this series. I don't think he'll be in the finale next week.
We have one episode, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think we'll see him next week. But I don't, you know, it's a great character. So, but anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Boyd, Nick to talk about.
So
I just thought Nick was. I mean, Michael Malley, just fun to watch.
He's great.
Here's my thing on that. Is like, why are the Detroit characters always so much more fun to watch?
Yeah.
Well, I think they're great in juxtaposition with the Harlan boys because let's face it, Boyd and Nick have had some. I mean, just the one conversation, and Nick says, "Look, I'm gonna have to use Google Translate."
That was great.
I know, that's it exactly.
I just wonder if that's more the Elmore Leonard influence, where they go, "Hey, Elmore, can you write the dialogue for these guys?" Because they always just, you know, even last one with the quarrels, there was always just that pop of just their attitude and the way they deliver and stuff.
Well, but Elmore Leonard does love a lot of that. I don't call it fish out of water, but there is a lot of this, like, he does a lot of that, you know, the mob guys come to Hollywood, or the Italian guy, the New York guys come to this. So it's a lot of that, like, you know, juxtaposition of these type of criminals interacting with these type of criminals, or these people interacting with these people. So that's what we have here. You have the, you know, the Detroit coming to Kentucky is just full of humor and contempt.
Great.
It's just that every time though, they're just they pop, and I don't. Sorry, I forgot his reference to Limehouse.
Oh, Lemonhead.
Lemonhead.
Nick.
Well, plus his look just does not say vicious criminal, and his voice, and he's even smiling when he's delivering all these lines. So it's a great contrast from, you know, one thing to the other.
But he somehow manages to still be terrifying, because and maybe it's because we know what happened in the trailer to his best friend, to what happened to Steven, what's his name?
Tobolowsky.
So maybe that's why we know what he's capable of, because he was so, you know, jocular and hanging out with him and jovial, and then he just he shot him.
Boom.
So I'm still terrified of him. Very frankly, I don't think he's capable of some really bad things.
I don't think Nick has gotten any peace of mind. I think he's getting an ulcer.
No.
It's not going. Every time he turns around, it's like, you haven't done it yet. You haven't done it yet.
I know, but it seems that, you know, rather than an ulcer, it seems like it's like water off a duck. He just goes, okay, here's what we're gonna do, and he goes to the next plan. I mean, which is great. It's like he always just keeps going with what it's like the Energizer Bunny. He's just gonna keep going.
Yep.
All right, before we get to Boyd, I'm going to talk Ellen May. I'm going to switch the order here. Let's go talk about Ellen May. We talked a little bit about her peace of mind. Again, and I'm going to go back to what Tammy said, just so we can discuss it a little bit more, because of the whole doe influence. I mean, she is this injured, you know, we've talked about the injured animal and all this other stuff. And then there seems to be this, you know, the surrender that she had with Limehouse. And then the sense that the hope that she had at Cassie, because of the repentance, and that there may be a place for her in this world. And I'm just going, oh my God, are they going to kill her?
Oh God,
You know, I thought for sure Cassie was going to drop a dime on her.
Exactly,
She was going to pull her.
That's what I thought too.
Cassie could use $300,000.
Yeah,
sure.
I figured everybody knew that, you know, there was a price on her head.
Yeah.
But even at that moment, she didn't know that eventually she is going to go back to Drew. She just knew that she was let go.
Right.
So she's still, you know, just trying to find her way.
Exactly.
And, you know, she visits Cush for a little while, which was
we talked about.
Yeah, I was hoping we would get to that.
That was fun. Just you know what they're. And oh, by the way, that shootout happened in our neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Very familiar. Let's hear it for the North Hollywood robbers.
All right. Well, actually, why don't we talk about that? Because I don't know if there's any more I wanted. I just wanted to recount that.
Right.
Well, you know, and she's always just been the traveling angel. She's always, you know.
It's so funny that she really does. In a weird way, she's brought out the best and the worst in people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and through no fault of her own.
Yeah, she's just been who she is, which is, you know.
Yeah, well, we touched on that. I thought it was interesting that she was sort of, and tragic that she was sort of ready to die, and this wandering angel. I like that, but I'm glad. I've been rooting for. I'm glad to see her go. And again, shout out and campaign for Abby Miller, the actress.
There you go.
Great.
Thank you very much. All right, so let's get to Boyd. Or do you want to talk Cush real quick?
Well, the only thing about Cush was, just the...
He was so... I mean, I just love that he got the drop on him. He just thought he was... I mean, that outfit was amazing.
That was.
Here's the thing about this show. You can absolutely look like a crackhead and get work. There are so many actors in the show where you go, if you saw him on the street, you go, no.
Oh, no.
Right.
I'm an actor. I swear, I'm an actor.
Yeah, sure. Show me your SAG
I just
card.
love his stance. He was in this crazy, his squat stance. He's so ready to go.
What are you doing?
And Boyd's like...
With that front of his flak jacket hanging down over his crotch. It looked so odd and awkward, and that crazy mask on his face. That was good.
But I also like Nick in that scene. Hey, I'm just the
driver.
I'm just the driver.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just the driver. Yeah. And of course, Boyd so nicely. Oh, by the way.
So we still haven't seen. I know we've seen Mike. I keep saying this, but it's just something about, Boyd hasn't really done any cold-blooded killing lately. No point blank. Yeah, there's some sort of, I don't know if it's an effort on Yost's part, but it's a lot of he's out thinking everyone. I think Boyd's become this guy who sort of thinks his way out of problems as opposed to blasting his way out of problems. Even in this instance, he shoots him in the foot. Right. It's kind of
in this one though.
Well, Cush may be a good earner. Anyway,
yeah, true. They did let Raylan get a little bit badder. He was beating up the guy in Johnny's bar that he disarmed fairly easily.
Yes.
And Boyd, a lot of times you were looking, he was going to take out Limehouse, and he was given orders for Colt.
Yeah.
So, they did kind of go back to their core.
Well, yeah, but I think what they're doing, and we'll talk about that for next week. But what they are doing, I think, they kept him away from killing people, in a sense, only because then it looks like what he's gonna do even worse.
Yeah.
Because what we think he's going to do, let's put it that way.
Right.
They need the bodies.
Yeah.
Exactly. For an excellent finale.
To remind us of how bad he is to, obviously if he's going to kidnap a mother or in some way harm a woman with child.
Well, that's that thing that I read. That thing I read 4 weeks ago that I mentioned last week about that one thing that Walton Goggins said. There is one thing that'll separate, Boyd and Raylan forever.
Exactly.
Things will change a lot. It'll be hard for them to go back. So we kind of know what it might be.
They didn't really show Boyd getting any sort of peace of mind, but what they have done very well is they've kept this is for our future beat going very strong.
And to that point, the scene they had with he and Ava, with Boyd and Ava, when Ava apologized, I'm sorry what happened to Colt, and I just couldn't do it. I mean, prior to that, she had said on the phone, I can't do it, I can't do it, and he absolves her.
Right. There was something about the tone of that scene, though, that was very disturbing.
It was unnerving, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know. I couldn't put my finger on it.
I think Boyd was honestly pissed off with her.
Yeah.
Like, come on, this is business. How can you not step up and do business?
Right.
And, it's...
Even though his words were saying something else, there was the whole subtext behind it.
Right.
Was very disturbing. And then, and because I was getting the feeling, I was like, is he about to punish her in some way?
That's what I felt like.
Yeah.
But there was, what he was saying are things that he didn't have to say. In other words, he's saying, okay, well, I think you did the right thing, and everything's okay.
I support you.
I support you. It's almost like,
understand.
I understand, and it's okay. So he was definitely.
But it also means now we have to do something.
There's
else.
something else we have to do. If we couldn't do that, there's a trade-off.
Yeah. Because you couldn't do that. Now we're gonna do this.
Exactly.
So
one last
card to play. It might have been easier to do that, but now we can't. So.
Yep.
And speaking of that, so we're going to our last person who's not gonna. Well, let's put it this way: when we start the show out, it looks like Raylan's got a lot of peace of mind. He's got his man. He's getting applause. He's getting accolades. He's now found out he has a daughter.
Yep.
He's like, hey, things are great.
Yeah. And there's some insurance papers he has to sign.
Why? In case something happens to one of us.
Ding, 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 ding. Telegram, billboard. Wow.
He didn't sign the papers either. He's
And he's trying to work a deal with Art. No, don't put me on suspension
Let me finish
today.
Yeah, that part was great.
Later. How about when my baby's
I'm not
born?
fighting the suspension.
You don't get to choose suspension, Raylan. That's called a vacation.
Yeah, that's a good art. That's a good art.
Yeah, not. I mean, peace of mind in the sense that he was able to get Ellen May.
Well, I mean, he feels like he's tying it all to loose ends.
Right.
That's what I mean. He has no idea about what's gonna hit him.
What's a brewing.
Exactly. What what by getting him Ellen May, what's been put in motion.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
He doesn't see this at all.
Now the meeting between Ellen May and
Shelby.
Shelby.
Drew Shelby, yeah.
Again, more than friends.
No, I still go back to what I've always said. I think in her part, she doesn't really know the lines to draw because she's never had those barriers and those kind of boundaries.
Or proper relationships.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I think on her end, she's still trying to figure that out. But on his end, I think he's just happy that she's alive.
Except that all the theories on the interwebs about them,
the
daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
So again, they're not. It's not accidental things that they're showing.
Right.
So,
Right.
I don't know.
I still maintain. I think that there's a romantic thing there. I think that he's into her. He loves her, but that's I could be just.
I agree with the fans about that. It could be a parent situation. He is.
Well, I think
her
he definitely.
parent.
I don't know if he's specifically her parent, but there's certain. For me, it's more
There's the parental
parent-child than it is romantic.
Yeah, they're parental.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what about the twist? Is Shelby's Ellen May's child?
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Shelby's Ellen May's child.
What? Okay. So, all right.
We've all been very, very busy.
All right. Well, let's see. That would lead us into next week.
Well, do you want to do our news and talk about our comments?
Sure.
Absolutely. I'm just saying that I'm wrapping up this particular episode. Anybody else have any last words before we go to our news and gossip?
Poor Winona.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see the Winona.
The only thing I can think of is putting some sort of and nice chair she got.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
With from Sticky, what's his name? Picker.
Sticky.
Whatever. Somebody.
Well, I was calling it
Troy's
Fingers.
got the name Fingers. Sticky.
Yeah, so.
Picker.
All right. Here's our news. Here we go.
All right, here we go.
AFTERBUZZ TV News.
First, just a couple of the shout-outs from comments that we got. Lee here absent said, "Go Constable Bob," based on last week's episode.
There you go. Absolutely
Too.
right.
Go Bob.
Also talk about last week being one of the greatest episodes. Mike Finocchio.
Sorry about that, Mike.
Sorry, there's a lot of letters, a lot of consonants in that word. I can't. Anyway, just loving last week's episode as we did.
Looks like. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, what you said. And then also Free Nation was talking about how they were first introduced to Mike O'Malley, who plays Nicky Augustine, in their childhood as a TV game show host on Nickelodeon's Guts.
There you go.
Oh my God,
Think of
I remember that.
From Nickelodeon to Justified. My God.
Oh, that's right.
Nice.
Also, Texas Floyd, B. Holt 58, who said we were awesome.
Thanks.
And beat Goss. So that was good. Now, with news, I have specific news about Mike O'Malley.
Let's do it.
Oh.
He plays Nicky Augustine.
He found a new family. He's perhaps best known for his role on Glee as Chris Colfer's father. He has been tapped to star in NBC's Welcome to the Family, according to The Hollywood Reporter. It's a single camera comedy about the worlds of a white family and a Latino family coming together by their children falling in love and an unexpected pregnancy. He plays Dan Yoder, an orthodontist. And
they're going for laughs on that one, I assume, right? Did you say comedy?
Yeah, single camera comedy.
I beg your pardon, I didn't hear
So that's a pilot and by Sony Pictures. Also, did you guys know O'Malley was also a writer-producer on Showtime's Shameless?
Did not know that.
Very talented,
Did not.
yeah.
So some of those lines, he's probably like David.
Well, he did that whole thing about that.
Yeah.
When he was talking to Ava about
when he was putting her down.
Yeah, thank you.
So to
what he
speak,
had to apologize for.
Yes,
and apparently he was very, very sought after during pilot season, getting multiple comedy offers.
Nice.
So
good for him.
So good for him.
Yeah.
We talked probably a good 5 episodes ago about Graham Yost partnering with Elmore Taylor to do this new drama called The Wild Blue. They were doing negotiations to have Tim McGraw play the lead. And if you remember, it was a show set on an aircraft carrier, and it was kind of upstairs, downstairs about the Navy.
Right. Okay.
So, but talks broke down with Tim McGraw over mostly scheduling, is what it sounded like. So I don't believe they still have a star, but we do know that Michael T. Williamson is one of the co-stars.
There you go.
So that could tie back to Limehouse not returning.
Limehouse.
So interesting. Okay, that's good for our news.
That is what we have for our news and gossip right now.
Let's go on to our predictions.
Well, I'm sorry, real quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry, stop. There's a couple of things I noticed in this episode, which I thought was really good. First of all, it was a female director.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Gwyneth. And I thought that was an interesting choice for this. You know, it was
because
much
of the
more
heavy
internal.
And David Meunier mentioned having a female director and how few they were.
And so it's always nice that, you know, they're bringing them in.
Especially on a drama like this that's kind of, man heavy, so to speak.
And it didn't seem like it was like,
guns and
Justified light.
Right, no, not at all.
When Ellen May was in her room talking to Limehouse about just kill me, it was lit very red, very...
and the shades had yellow, and it was very interesting. Go ahead.
But it definitely like the red sort of hooker sort of thing. And then the next scene is the red chip in Boyd's hand. Yeah. Talking about her. And so there's a little... the gambling chip and all that stuff. So all those little things.
They're betting on somebody's life and all this crazy nice little...
You know, when you see something that red and that obvious, it's like, well, I don't think it's an accident.
And the fact that he's playing with it in his hands, like she's just this chip, an ante.
I just thought that was really nice.
It was nice.
That's all I got.
Okay, so now let's go on to predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
It's a finale. So I'm going to predict a high body count, and something might happen to Winona.
She has to return the chair.
Yes, exactly. Well, at the end of today's episode, Joe shoots for me from across the room. Are you happy now, Tamara?
So Winona said,
"You've been rooting for the demise of
only in that I knew it was coming. I am not happy, but I knew it was coming.
Raylan's peace of mind is at risk. When she was put in that chair and she sat in that chair, I was thinking the Emulex because,
I thought the same thing too.
Because Boyd had made a point of saying he was going to put that in the house
underneath the foundations,
and I was like,
but I can't remember.
Oh my God, is they going to put her? It's like, well, how are they? Because he obviously.
I tell you what,
putting it together.
If they had a shot of fingers or
Picker
walking away from that house, I would have thought,
we're going to have a gnarly opening next week.
So, I think for me, I don't have any other predictions. It's mayhem. I mean, and we're going to be tense and crazy.
Well, I do have to say the last two episodes we haven't seen a lot of Raylan. He's been kind of a background character, holding things together, but not a lot of the sort of classic heroic him coming in, and that kind of thing. So we're obviously going to get that for the finale because they have to do that.
Well, yeah, they're going after his family.
Yeah.
I think Ellen May, I think she walks. I think she gets away completely. I think she's out of danger, and I think she's free and clear.
Well, because that would be a great thing to continue into season 5, having this unfinished business hanging over Boyd and Ava, Right,
and they have to dig up the body.
Delroy.
Yeah,
now,
Delroy.
Obviously, Cassie knows about it, but I think they could just get rid of her because, so I think she is, and I think...
You think Ellen May's getting away?
I don't think Johnny follows her.
No.
So my prediction is Ellen May is free and clear.
Well, I see your Ellen May being clear, and I raise you Ellen May and Shelby Drew Thompson go because
you think he's going to get away?
He's going to get away. I think he's going to get away because I think the whole reason Boyd's playing this card, the one last card to play, is it's got to be something with the transfer and something with getting. Well, I mean, what more could Boyd have to give Detroit other than Shelby? So that's why
So you're saying if they don't give up Shelby Drew, then Boyd's going to get killed by Detroit, and this is the only way that Boyd can go on as a character?
No, what I'm saying for Boyd, when Boyd told Ava we have one last card to play, meaning like we have one last chance to get some money and get things going, is to actually deliver to deliver Drew Thompson to Detroit,
Right.
and the only way he has to do that is he puts the screws to Raylan.
Sure.
So by obviously getting
that's his leverage with Winona.
His leverage with Winona. So my point is, my prediction involves that'll all happen. There'll be some sort of thing, but in the high body count, which will happen, and when all the dust settles, I think Drew Thompson and Ellen May will be off in the sunset.
Okay, but how does that work? So if that's I think everybody agrees that's what he's going to do. He's going to put the screws to Raylan by getting Winona, etc. But so does that mean she dies? What's your prediction on that? Or does if they
Winona?
escape, if Drew and Ellen May are gone, they have no reason to keep Winona alive.
I don't want to talk about that.
Well, that might depend on Raylan's kick-ass ability.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's going to be resolved, or it's going to be a cliffhanger finale?
I think it'll be resolved in a very sad way. I think they'll be in the wind. I think a lot of people will be down. They could get, let's predict, a great scene between Raylan and Boyd. You're gonna have this great scene. Now become the cliffhanger, you better watch your ass kind of a thing. Back and forth.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
All right, give us your comments on what you think is going to happen. We'd love to hear them. Thanks very much. Okay, everybody, let them know where they can find you, Joe.
Grantland.com, ESPN's Grantland.com for my good stuff there, and also here at AfterBuzz with the Americans and Justified and the following.
Okay, Steve.
Bottomley Steven Twitter.
On Twitter.
Sorry, at Joe K. Braswell at Twitter for me. Sorry.
Okay.
Are you done?
Really? Is there more?
Hashtag more about Joe.
I am at Tamara Berg on Twitter. Also, my website is tamaracentral.com. I'll be doing some crafting on Home and Family on Friday.
Hey, Tamara and Home and Family.
All right.
Up to her elbows.
Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.